Thanks for staying with us. We're still discussing the arrest of this gay rights members, and the wedding party that happened in Delta State. Let me come to Mariam. What are your thoughts as we've been discussing on this matter?
Yeah, so my own conversation going forward, having listened to the police officer, is that then what? In the 10 years that they will be locked up, 14 years that they will be locked up, what would they be getting? Is it we lock you up and then 14 years we release you as what kind of people? Like change from that behavior? Are you going to be getting any sort of counseling, therapy while in prison? You know, so we cannot just lock, it doesn't end when you lock someone up. So we need to start thinking about that. And then also about, oh, let's put them out and parade them so that it can serve as deterrent. I think we need to think about how it even happens in the first place. Just shaming them or putting them out in public, is that how it starts? Is that how it ends, really? I just feel that we need to think deeper in how people like this become people like that and what we can do from the beginning of it, you know, that's where it can serve as a deterrent. Some people have said to us, I was raped as a child by a man. How do we treat pedophilias? Do we cover it up as a society? Don't let the world know? So what part are we playing when it comes to that way? If someone says, I was just born this way, it's a certain way I was born, what sort of conversation are we having with people at such a young age? We are completely closing that line of conversation. We can never even have this conversation. Meanwhile, somebody is saying, I realized it when I was 6 years old, but I could not have a conversation with anyone around me because we dared not have that conversation. So if we're going to handle this, let's handle it well. We cannot carry a bunch of Nigerians, lock them up and say, we've thrown away the key. 10 years later, we release them as fully grown, whoever they are.
Putting together, hanging out, getting confirmed.
So what are we doing?
Let me take this call, I believe, from Melville. Thanks for calling. You're live.
It's true.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, you're live. Go ahead, please.
Yes. I'm just wondering, have you guys thought about a syndicate running this? What if it's a way? What's a way of a syndicate trying to get these people to get back to Europe?
Syndicate.
Because they are gay. Because the law, as you say, is against it. Society is against it. So there's a new way to legally get back. Have you thought about it?
Okay, thank you, Melville. I didn't really get you very well.
No, he's talking about the fact that there could be a syndicate running this thing, promoting it. The Western world,
got you, because they are heavily financed. They're heavily financed,
yes,
and they could be supporting this community.
They get opportunity to travel.
Yes. So there's a deeper issue that the government can actually deal with this. Yeah. But there's something that, let me read this comment from somebody. The person is anonymous. He said, "I disagree with Murayo. UAE, Qatar, Saudi Arabia maintaining their values despite advancement in technology. Values can be upheld despite civilization. Qatar, despite hosting World Cup, did not allow gay practice." And I think this is a perfect comment to buttress what I was trying to achieve with the point I was trying to make. Africa hasn't totally come of age, because if we have, we should be influencing the world on culture, morals, values, beliefs. But because we have somewhat allowed the West to influence us so much by accepting their culture in every way, who are we therefore now to start beginning to cherry pick what we want to take? Because these countries that we're identifying, they from the get-go have been able to retain who they are as a people. And please, I'd like to be corrected if I'm wrong. So their economy, their infrastructure, everything has defended them such that they don't even need the West. They don't need anything from the US. They are well contained to say, you know what, we don't believe in gay rights. But Nigeria, we tried to do that. I mean, even Barack Obama was with the
conversation with former president.
With Jonathan. You know, because we are somewhat at the mercy of the West in a lot of ways. We are at their mercy. So who are we now to be saying, oh, we want to pick? So we are, sorry, what did you say?
He who pays the piper.
Exactly. So they can talk because nobody's paying their piper. They are paying their piper. But we are dependent a lot on this relationship. So we manage how. So South Africa will do their own. We are important. We believe in this. The West Africa will do their own. East Africa, we are all gradually picking what we want from the West. So therefore, if we are going to be like UAE, it's not just a decision by somebody's law. It's about being economically independent somewhat. that we can say, you know what, we are exporting our culture. Fela was singing to the world, and this music is still accepted.
There's a Yoruba
We are
proverb.
drinking, we are taking, like, we're making movies. Why is Jagun Jagun really popular? Because it's cultural.
Yes.
We make all these English Nollywood movies because we want to be like Oyinbo movies.
You cannot do it
We are
well.
bringing the culture to ourselves. So the point is that the real conversation is how do we fix it inside out, not outside in.
So there are two sides to the story. There's a Yoruba proverb that says, "Ti owo towo eko bai ti tada, you can only be rekuto pababai." That means if your hand cannot hold the cutlass well, literal meaning, you can't defend your father's death because you are not strong enough. So the economic part is extremely important. That until you might know what is right from what is wrong, but you will take whatever they throw at you because you are not economically strong enough. You've not matured to the level to defend yourself. As a country, we're somewhat in that space where people can pressure us to do some things because we want to get loans from them and all of that. There's a second part I want to mention, though, but let you take your call.
Kelechi from Shasha, thanks for calling. You're live.
Mariam, good morning.
You're live. Go ahead. Yes, we can. Go ahead, please.
Okay, Mariam, see, let me put it this way. Originally, experts say that nothing in life is neither good nor bad. What makes something good or bad is its implication and the perception of people. Do you understand? Now, Toku said something about 1990 revolution. She was very, very much right. Yeah, we are getting there. But let's look at it critically. What constitutes marriage? I thought what constitutes marriage. Hello? Can you hear me?
We can hear you, but the studio is a bit blurry, but I'm sure the viewers can hear you. Go ahead, please.
I said, I'm asking now, what constitutes marriage? I thought for marriage to be constituted, there must be a statutory personality, either in Christianity, either in religion, or in the rule of law. In religion, just like in Christianity, you have a priest presiding over this marriage. That's what makes it legal. Now, in law, you have maybe a legalist presiding over law. Now, in the case of these people, is there any statutory personality, either in religion or in law, deciding over what they are doing? If there is not, as far as I'm concerned, they didn't commit any offense.
All right. Thank you very much, Kelechi. And we
have customary. There's customary law. We were saying that you don't need. It's not only church.
I can't hear.
It's not only church and it's not only religious and legal. Traditional wedding is also recognized. If you marry traditionally, it can be recognized, and your parents might not be there. Family members are there, and they hand you over to the person. You're already married to that person. Okay. I was going to say that there's a group of people that will say that this is not an imported thing. That even the Bible quotes that back then there were people that identified as homosexuals in the Bible in historical times. Yeah. And even within our culture, yes, we call it abomination, but people have been doing it before we became West. It's not a Western thing. Yes, the Western influence might be that we now want to make it open.
Amplified it. Legal. Yeah.
But it's always been there and seen as, do you know that man? Do you know that woman? They do this kind of thing. So we see it that it's being done, but we see it as a taboo that is being carried out. What we don't want is for that taboo to now become, I can do it because I am free to do it. I have freedom of my human rights to do whatever I want to do. No, your human rights ends where my own human rights starts, or we have to respect each other. That's what we're hoping to achieve. And I like the Qatar example. It's a very good one.
Okay. All right, I thought you were going to jump in.
Yes, I was just reading some articles and would see, just to buttress your point, that even in 2019, when Joe Biden was the former U.S. vice president, he had also threatened to withdraw foreign aids from countries that discriminate against LGBTQ people. And so that's just to show really that until we begin to have our own as a country, we would still be dancing to the piping tune of other countries that are more developed and that we depend on.
Let's take a few comments on social media. Do we have anyone, Mariam, there? Right. Let's take a few comments.
So the comments are like boom, boom, boom. They are bashing.
Yeah. It's okay, please read the bashing. If the bashing is about me, it's okay. Go ahead.
Somebody said, this is good. Somebody said, maybe it's time Nigeria tried Mariam's approach. That's the approach of having a conversation about it. So another person is saying Africa cannot legalize it because it has been practiced for as long as Africa has existed. Yes, it has. He said yes, it has been there. Somebody else is buttressing that yes, it has been there, but it was not called There was no word for homosexuality in Yoruba, Hausa, or Igbo. Why? Because ancient Africans learned from the story of destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. Then another person was also saying they did it in their closets. Let it remain within their closets, not popular. Why are we trying to protect people who are in this category?
But you see, don't you find it interesting how we, this sanctimonious nation, how we like...
You can permit...
How we permit certain things and don't permit other things.
Multiple marriage. You can marry 5 wives or 6 wives.
So it's like, it's quite interesting. Because when you read all the comments, you're thinking, wow, I mean, it just helps you to understand where we are as a people, mentally.
We are hypocritical. Let's just
Yeah,
leave that matter.
Because when you see that, because when you're on social media and you're getting depressed over somebody said something about me, you're about to commit suicide.
But the next minute you are yabbing.
But I'm just saying that when you see that these are the kind of people that are commenting, you understand that, okay, even you that are saying, better appreciate yourself better. Am I making sense here?
So, honestly, Mariam, if you see if you have any idea of the kind of negative comments that you trying to balance the show has been getting on YouTube, you wonder that in your mind, you're a good person. You watch the show, you see that she's trying to balance the conversation, and you come on YouTube in the name of supporting your own belief, and you type insult. Who are you? Why?
Let me take this call from Ade.
Dopamine fix for many of them.
Thanks for calling. Ade, go ahead, you're live. Good morning.
Good morning, ladies. Yes. Yes, we're in the end time now. Even in UK here, they attack gay people. I'm telling you, because they are introducing to primary school to be teaching them man and man from nursery on the street. Our protest in Manchester this last year or so. So imagine if Uganda passed a death in Uganda. It's an arbitrary. In our country, it should be death penalty. Imagine you, the teacher, put lesson in your house to keep your children, and you left your house. And that teacher is, and you have 2 sons. What will happen? So let's see about the future, not now. So this person, they are not there. It should be death like Uganda. Whatever we get there. For the future of our children. So people in you that they are practicing, I can't tell them people. Just like you said.
Thank you very much, Ade.
You know what? I wonder how Nigerians in diaspora are handling this or raising their children. I've heard stories of, Nigerian students abroad who, especially those who've come from Nigeria, and they say that they go into class and they're teaching them these things, and they say, no, I don't believe in that, or they criticize it and they get a repercussion for criticizing it in other countries. What is it that Nigerians, what will you do as a Nigerian living abroad, knowing that this is the culture there and you do not want that of your children? Do you decide based on that moral standard, I will come home where I know that these values are better entrenched? Or you leave your child there and hope that somehow they don't interact with these people, they don't become friends with these people? Because you mentioned that you will be friends with them. You will get to know them for who they are as a person before you know about their sexual orientation.
You know, my brother,
so what do we do with that sort of information? And then there's another thing I've been being careful to talk about, which is there's some of our leaders where people have pointed towards that their children living abroad are living these lives.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot.
Some of them their voices are loud against this, but they have the wherewithal, the influence and the money and the resources to send their children to this country so that they can live their lives.
Rumor has it, rumor has it that some of these lawmakers who actually fought for this bill, they're having these issues, struggles with their own kids because they are saying, you know what, if my children have done it, but I must stop.
Are openly living abroad like that.
No, but Mariam, I wanted to hear, because I know that you have nieces and nephews abroad and you live there, even though when you live there it wasn't legal yet.
No, I think it was. They had a I told you I had a gay roommate. I had what's his name? I can't remember his name. We had in the same room at some point. These are people that, but the exposure you have is that, listen, live and let live. Allow everybody. My brother was telling me recently he flew to Haiti for a gay wedding. His friends, one of his staff. That's the life. He had to go there. So that's where we live. All of us are living abroad. So my point is that personally, I'm a Christian and I'm not, I pray I wouldn't have to have this conversation with anybody around me by God's pressure. We're all hoping.
We are,
don't
yes,
have a conversation with our children. It's a prayer point. But I would not pretend like I'm not living in the world where I have to be faced with it. My child who's watching TV, I'm telling the child, because every series has it. Everyone I'm watching, you see, too, they're all there. So I'm explaining to my child. So it's good to know you're in a world where there will be choices to be made. And you have to choose right.
And I'm also afraid of this silence, of this, let's keep quiet about it. Especially,
God bless you,
situations where young girls are getting married to people who are closetly living this way, but they cannot open their mouths to say, because if you call them out, they're, the stigma. And so, what is better? Is it better to just hide them and keep quiet and pretend they don't exist, and then all the things that can come from that happens, or is it better to just know these are a group of people, this is how they live their lives, and if you are separate from them, you live differently from them. So there's no mistake of ending up with someone who that's their lifestyle. So Nigerian, we need to open our minds on how to address this. To just shout about it, to call people out about it, to stigmatize people is not enough. Arrest and lock them is not enough. We must chart a way for how we want to live with them or without them going forward.
I have a call from Majek. Thanks, Majek, for calling. You're live.
Hello, good morning.
Morning.
You're doing a very wonderful job.
Thank you,
That's
sir.
good. By the way, I love the way what Mariam said earlier on, not too long ago now, that God forbid if you have anybody within your family that you will have to discuss with. That is the point where I'm going into. I mean, it's better imagined than experienced. I happen to have had a guy in my church who was trying to introduce that. I sent him away. And when I did, I'm not a pastor, I'm not anything, but I'm just an elder in the church. But I sent him away. Some parents came out, they didn't face me, they were saying it behind me, that why would I send somebody out? So on a Sunday, I went on the pulpit and explained to them what this guy was doing, and that was when they realized how he wanted to destroy their children. Would you and I love it for one of our children to be among those ones caught in Delta? This is not America, by the way. That is how America got into what it got to. We have morals in this country. When you say human rights, human rights, you know what?
English.
Thank you very much, Mr. Majek.
He said, like play. That is how the Western world got to where they are. And that we're also like play doing it, that our children are getting spoiled because we're not correcting them appropriately. So he's talking about the fact that we should not...
How are we correcting them? That's the truth. How are we correcting them?
Because the instance he gave, sending the person out of church may not have been the best option, because he would still...
What exactly?
But he didn't even explain what the person was doing.
That the person, possibly the person was gay.
Yes.
So you send them out of church to what? So you protect your own small space, but that person is going out to probably do more. So how do we fix it?
So if a person realizes that they're gay or thinks that they are struggling with issues like that and goes to their pastor, what should the pastor do?
Exactly.
That's the approach I feel. You mentioned it before, and we need to say it over and
What
over again.
if a teacher notices a child that is acting a certain way? What should the teacher do?
We don't talk about that part, and we need to prefer solution. It's easy to just castigate and banish.
Yes, I went to teen church on Sunday. A teen church invited me, and somebody came to meet me, and she said this. And the first thought in my mind was,
where will you start from?
Where do I start this conversation from?
We have to wrap up the show. But you see, I'm glad where Toby took us, because that's the truth. There are conversations to be had concerning this matter. As a nation, we can make a law and lock people up and throw them in. Or we face the conversation and say, okay, you know what? It is bad. Everybody as a nation, we are all against this matter. And then we put things in place. So we equip a teacher who's faced with this. We equip a pastor who's faced with it. We equip an imam, everybody who is faced with it, and say, okay, this is how we're going to address it, and have a national stand on it, which is fine. The law is there, but who is readdressed? Because we still have a lot of these people in our community. So the conversations have to be had, and hopefully we'll continue at some point. Hopefully that's all we can take on this show, because I've always said on this show that one of our greatest issues are the middle class. Because it's the middle class that is bringing all these exposures to us. We are and I always yard boss that we are the ones that are seeing all these things and now bringing them in, because if you allow us to grow at our pace,
I'm not middle class.
We will not be
1%.
faced with this matter. I've always had that position. But that's all we can take on today's show.
Tough
Have a great
conversation.
day. See you tomorrow. Bye for now.